From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell. ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is the closing bell for Monday, November 6, 2023. You made it through another weekend. It's Monday. It's a new day. It's a new start, a fresh start to a new full week. The tip-off of NCAAB 2023, sporting the Yukon Huskies, defending champs. Big task ahead. The Big East is loaded this year. Creighton, Marquette, the return of Villanova, just a few of the teams to look out for. And Georgetown, believe it or not, won't be the doormat this year, but we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. But first, shout out to the gentleman behind the glass, Joseph Shea, Cade Horton, Evan Lewis, Bennett, and Olu. And of course, our proud partnership and sponsorship with WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, please go to Google Play or wherever you download your apps. Download it. It's free. Get used to working with it. Start keeping track of your wagers, turning those wagers into investments. How? We'll show you how. A bunch of different sports books that they are partnered up with. Take a look at the free promos there. Free wagers, $25 deposits, get back $100, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And also WagerWire, Zach and Travis and the rest of their team offering a great incentive program. Send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you, and they'll take good care of you. Let's bring them in. Should be a little more jovial this Monday as his Packers took care of the Staffordless Rams with Brett Ripien, who would have done better, I guess, if he was playing for Boise State. But a win's a win. So without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only SouthSide Riley himself. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, good evening, my friend. Happy start of a new week. I am feeling kind of neutral, I guess. A W is better than a loss, but for anyone who wasn't watching the fun games that were going around the NFL, the Packers-Rams game wasn't exactly the most channel remote dropping game that we've ever seen in the NFL. So while I am happy to be in the win column, it was about as disgusting of a football game can be. Really on both sides of things. The Packers obviously were the better team with the way Ripien was, with Ripien at back. Defense handled them well. Defense for the Packers played well, but so many stupid penalties. 2 offensive offsides on 4th and inches. Fool me once, shame on you, but fool me or whatever. That's how this damn saying goes. I can't even think of the damn saying, but nonetheless, no, it was 10-3 for quite a long time in that game, and talking with my my dad and my brothers, it was one of the worst football games I've watched in a long time from an excitement and entertainment standpoint. So. In the win column, so I am not complaining too much, but not everything is solved yet. If we can get ourselves in the win column next week against Pittsburgh, which obviously going to be a very tough game, then I'm sure my tune will be a lot more optimistic. But yeah, plenty of other fun things to talk about as far as the NFL. Not named my Packers here.
Well, it was just like the Big Ten Iowa Northwestern game at Wrigley Field, where the under/over was pressing 30, and of course a late second field goal by Iowa for the win. I think they said it was the Cubs and Reds put up more runs than on a Friday than Iowa and Northwestern did there. Back home, the Earth has officially crashed. The Washington Redskins come into Gillette and take care of business to the New England Patriots. There is not really anything good to talk about other than the fact that, Howell is greater than Mac, a team in total disarray, falling apart, and they get to go to Germany this week, which be better off probably to leave a few of the players there. We can take a full show to discuss what's going on with them. 2-7. The collapse for Caleb is stronger than ever. Is what there's talks are they one of the worst teams in the NFL? Just total disgusting there. I'll just leave that there. So much to talk about, and we could talk for hours, and I don't want to do that to you and all of our listeners here because the board is so big to go over with the 100+ games in college basketball. Chargers travel to the Jets tonight. There's a handful of hockey games. There's some NBA, which the ECSI VIPs are now 3-0 on that. So we had the Cavs yesterday. Short favorites against the Golden State Warriors. They win by 11 there. We had a winner on Friday as well. So the eyes are real good in the NBA, but we're just picking and choosing. I want to take you back to Saturday. Big Ten, what you see, and overall in college football, hats off. I should honestly, I got to reach out to them. Maybe they'll sponsor something. I love the YouTube. I love everything about it. On Saturday night, I got Alabama, LSU in one box. I got USC and Washington in another box. And then there was two other games going on. It's just they lived up to it. The 52-42 Washington. I said on the Friday edition of in the morning, the first one to 40 wins that game. Well, it was actually first one to 50 wins that game. Alabama, LSU. Jaden Daniels looked phenomenal. Alabama looked great. LSU takes a 28-21 to lead early third quarter. We're like, here we go. Played some grab ass late third quarter. Gets knocked out in the fourth quarter. Thanks for playing. But some interesting games, of course. But I want to give you a shot to talk about what you saw on Saturday.
Yeah, as far as I can start Big Ten, and then I think there's a couple other that I can fill the cracks in elsewhere. Let's see. I got to wait for myself here for a second. The one that I wish before, we were a little more. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just have to add this. I do a lot of shows, and especially Thursday, especially Friday. My where my heart is for Nebraska. I talked about a stinky line. Everyone in the world was on Nebraska. It was a spot to get them to 6-3. It was a spot to really say Matt Rule is here to stay. They absolutely laid an egg, and you could tell early they were in trouble. 7-0, 7-3. Then it was 13-7, whatever the score was. They never had the lead. You knew they were going to fall short. And, that one game to say, all right, we're back. We believe Matt, and the Cornhuskers laid an egg.
Yep. And I can just pick off right there. I mean, that was one. Yeah, that was one that, we had on the show on Friday morning talking about that stinky lie there. And it's been a situation where Nebraska's had a handful of those. And at a certain point when, you see enough of those stinky lines, and even if it goes, even if you're wrong about it being stinky the first couple of times, if they keep showing it to you, it's going to come and get it eventually there. And that's what happened there with Nebraska. And it's even a bigger shame because everybody except for that was in that giant pack of the Big Ten West, everyone except for Iowa loses on Saturday. Wisconsin blows one to Indiana, which I wish you and I had been a lot more aggressive, because I think my words were, I'm not putting Wisconsin on an upset wash, but I mean, the way this offense has been going with since Tanner Mordecai went down, I without saying it, I was kind of saying it. So it credits to Indiana for actually getting that win and getting their biggest win in the year there. For them, Iowa Northwestern, obviously a total stinker. Thought Iowa could put up some more points, obviously. Like you said, 10-7 at Wrigley's. About how that one would go. And then, Michigan still continues to do their thing. You and I, as far as Rutgers and Ohio State, the spread, I think, ended up being pretty damn spot on. And goodness gracious, man, if nobody watched that game, one pick six, kind of fluky pick six, goes another way. I'm not saying Rutgers wins that game, but they were up 9-7, I think, driving to take a 2-score lead. And instead of doing so, they like I said, I can't remember if it was a fumble six or a pick six, kind of a weird collision, bad throw type thing, that ended up going the other way. If they managed to score a touchdown there, again, the way Ohio State played down the stretch, the way they've been playing the second half, I'm sure they still would have, woken up and got it done there. But that game was closer than 35-16, obviously a 19-point game. And if you had the right number for Ohio State, you're still jumping for joy. But and you and I were talking about, if anything, Rutgers team total, and they get 16.5, without too many sweats going over on that one. Credit to you as far as smelling out these Maryland situations these last 3 or 4 weeks, whatever the hell it's been. You were spot on with that one, I know. And then, Michigan took care of business. You were spot on with it being the numbers being pretty damn correct. I lean towards Illinois over in Minnesota. It did take a last, 30-second touchdown pass from their backup quarterback, who actually looked pretty damn good in his short stint there. If I'm sure nobody watched that game, but for what it's worth, he actually looked pretty good and had a beauty of a throw to win that game there. And obviously the 1-point win when they were 1-point dogs, nothing crazy there. But that was it for Big Ten. And to fill in the cracks nationally, we talked about that Clemson-Notre Dame game a lot on Friday. Clemson, beats the doors off them in the first half, too little too late for Notre Dame. Notre Dame's still a good team, but obviously, not any type of dream season by any stretch. Not going to get a New Year's Six bowl, probably going to get a decent bowl, and 8-9 wins. Still not going to be a total slouch, but a lot of missed opportunities this year for Notre Dame. They're going to be kicking themselves. Let's see where else. Utah. You know what? I didn't see this one earlier. Utah puts the hurt on Arizona State, and then Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, last conference game of Bedlam. I'm sure we'll see that matchup again at some point down the line. But that one was obviously a very good one. Oklahoma State getting the final laugh there, kind of putting Texas almost blew a big lead themselves there, but kind of putting, unless Texas can roll through the entire schedule and win the Big 12, one more loss from Texas, and we're looking at the Big 12 being out of the top four without a doubt. I would say there. So Texas is the last standing chance there, but the way these Big 12 games have been going, they've got a fairly favorable schedule the rest of the way, and we'll see who they play in the championship game there. But obviously Big 12 kind of tough sledding right now to see if to make a case for them to get in the top four right now.
And shout out to Billy Hewlin. Roll Tide. Give Rebecca a big hug for me, sir. You know what? I've been talking about this for a month. The shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and the popsicle headache. I'm going to go back to it. And guys, listen, there's no one here that's been touting Oregon as loud and proud as myself. Was someone in August that had Washington in Final Four, that had Washington winning the Pac-12, that after Washington beat Oregon in the late seconds in Washington, I told the world, get on Oregon, buy their stock now. I talked to Russell Saylor and a few other people a week ago, and speak of the devil, here comes Russell with the quack, quack, quack. Bo Nix now plus 200, Russell, the second favorite behind Mr. Penix. So congrats to you at 6-1 there. It's just going to be the perfect storm. I'm telling you guys right now, Oregon cheats to the Pac-12. And then I think Washington is going to get picked off, at least at Oregon State. Oregon, 17-point favorites this week to Caleb Williams and USC. I didn't say 7. I didn't say 10. I didn't say 12. I said 17 there. So now I'm going to give you what I can see, and I'm just going to bring up the scenarios. And this is going to be hard for some people to take. Michigan, tough game this week at Penn State. I think they'll find a way to win. I think Michigan beats Ohio State. I think Michigan goes undefeated. Michigan is in. Okay. Unfortunately, no one's going to beat Florida State, and an undefeated Florida State is in. So you're going to get a Michigan and Florida State. There's nothing you guys can do there. Now, this is where it gets sketchy. And when I say it this way, people are going to have a hard time to understand this. Initially in the Big 12, I thought there'd be a rematch, Oklahoma versus Texas. Well, Team Mullet said, not so fast, Mr. Dawson. The Oklahoma State team has been rolling and rolling. So if it was Oklahoma State and Texas, even though Texas beat Alabama, because I'm going to go to the SEC now, I see Alabama cheating. I see Alabama 3.5-point underdogs to Georgia in the SEC finals. I see Alabama winning. Okay. I see Oregon beating Washington in the Pac-12. Okay. So you got Michigan in and you got Florida State in. We only got 2 more spots. Okay. Alabama, 1 loss to Texas, just beaten undefeated Georgia, who hasn't lost in 3 years, is in.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you got a 1-loss Georgia team. And I'll just say you got a 1-loss Texas team and you got a 1-loss Oregon team. Okay. I am telling you right now, there is no way in holy hell you can keep Oregon out. You can't. You can, as deep as this Pac-12 has been this year, a 1-loss Oregon team is in. Now you're going to say, how can Alabama be in over Texas? Texas won in Tuscaloosa. I know they did, but they won in week 4. They didn't win in week 10 or 11. Okay. Sometimes in these decisions, it's when you win and when you lose. If you win in the Tuscaloosa in week 12 and beat them late November, that carries more weight than beating them in the first week of October, okay, or the end of September. So no shame in your game, Texas, none. The hard pill to swallow is the SEC people is going to say, how do you keep Georgia out? How do you keep a 1-loss, 2-time defending champ out? So if they find a way to keep them in over a 1-loss Oregon or a 1-loss Texas, there's going to be a riot.
I'm with you. I don't think I have anything that I disagree with you on. Especially at Texas's case, the second loss for Oklahoma. I mean, the team that beat them having now 2 losses to other teams a little bit lower than them is also not helping them either. I mean, if Oklahoma was still 1 loss or so and Texas avenged them and that was only Oklahoma's loss, then that would help a lot there. But yeah. I mean, I'm so with you as far as Alabama. You have to put them in if they're a 1-loss team that beats freaking Georgia, who hasn't lost in 3 years, like you said. And then with the way the SEC and the Pac-12 are, I agree with you. I'm not saying I'd be shocked because I agree with you. It would be shocking to see Georgia not in there as a 1-loss team that loses in the SEC championship. But with the way the Pac-12 is, I completely agree with you. A 1-loss Pac-12 team, even regardless of who, and maybe not regardless of who it is, if that's that scenario, and let's say Washington loses and then is a 1-loss Pac-12 champ, Georgia as a 1-loss team is probably getting over on them, I think. But the Pac-12 has been so dang good, and people are giving it so much respect that I'm with you on Oregon. I mean, they are that good, and you know what? I think people are starting to use, like what you said, Oregon being a 17-point favorite against USC. I think committees are starting to look at that a little bit more and giving more respect to that than they would have 10 years ago. How much they actually are, I don't know. But, whereas 10 years ago, that wouldn't have mattered whatsoever. But now when you factor that type of stuff in and you say, well, the people who are paid to set the odds of what these games are very good at it, are putting this team as over a touchdown favorite, you kind of have to respect that a little bit. So, and obviously USC's not in this conversation, but you know what I mean. I know it would just be it would be wild. Again, I agree with you, and I think that is a scenario. It would obviously be shocking for a lot of people to see Georgia out of it with one loss. To take it back a little bit, were you surprised? Because I'm with you. I think Michigan rolls through the table. They are the best team in this conference. Were you surprised to see their line this upcoming week against Penn State with the way, obviously, Penn State kind of not laying an egg to Ohio State? They were in that game, but, on paper, just looking at the box score, not as many people giving Penn State the respect for that Ohio State game. Were you surprised? It's 3.5. Michigan at Penn State minus 3.5. Were you surprised to see it that close?
Well, it's funny because the look ahead line was 3.5. It went to 5.5. And let me pull that game up now. I want to see one thing there, which is a big thing in my eyes, probably not for others. Come on, eyes. Work. Penn State, Michigan. Come on, where are you? There it is. All right. See, so shame. This would have been better. I knew it wasn't the night game. I know it wasn't the official true whiteout. This is a high noon game, which to me gives Michigan a lot more of an advantage. And people say, why? I think, Jeff, they got to travel from Michigan to Penn State. It's at 12 noon. It doesn't give the crowd what are they going to get there at 8 a.m. and get liquored up for 3 hours? If this was a 4 o'clock game, a 3:30 game, if this was a 7 o'clock game, 7:30 on ESPN primetime, they got the whole day. So I expect Penn State to come out tough. I think it'll be a real good first half. My true number is 5 with a 4.5. Back to 5 at circa with a 44. Initial thoughts is 24-20. That's where the Vegas has this one penciled in. Now you look at this, and we will dig into this Friday morning on our Breakfast Bankroll Big Ten preview show. And the fact of the matter is, where do they put the Penn State team total? Because for Penn State to win this game, they're going to have to get to 21, 23, 24, because Michigan's going to score on Penn State. As good as their defense is, I think especially the second half, they're going to wear them down. It's who wins that turnover battle. I think it's a fair number. I think the public will be on Michigan. I think the wise guys will take a swing with Penn State, because that sermon that I just talked about for 10 minutes, again, there's a huge curveball if Penn State wins this game.
Right. No, I was more of a curious what the initial thought was on that one, because I think a lot of people, if it's 3.5, 4.5, or a lot, majority of people I think are going to be out of Michigan there. So curious to see how it goes. I've still been very high on this Penn State team, but haven't shown that extra. They did show the extra gear the other day, but. And up until then, against Maryland, hadn't shown that extra gear of what we've seen from Ohio State and Michigan, especially Michigan, obviously, there. So anything else on college football? I don't believe so. I guess the one team that could crash the party, they are 10.5-point dogs. Georgia has shown some vulnerability, though. Ole Miss as a one-loss team, the issue is that they would need Alabama to lose a couple games, I think, because Alabama beat Ole Miss. So even if they're at one loss tied and the Ole Miss's loss is Georgia, Alabama still got the tiebreaker over them. I guess I kind of answered my question there, because they still, even if they beat Georgia, they still need some help from Alabama. But how would you grade a one-loss Ole Miss team that had just beaten Georgia, lost to Alabama, who then would play, I guess, still Georgia, and let's say Alabama beats Georgia. Now Georgia's got 2 losses, but Alabama, Ole Miss have 1 loss. I guess the answer is they're just not getting in over a one-loss Pac-12 or, a one-loss Texas team. So I kind of answered my question, but the one team that kind of can crash the party if some other chaos goes on is Ole Miss. Do they have a chance of beating Georgia this week, I guess, is my question.
There is a chance. I love the Ole Miss offense. The problem is I don't like their defense. Let me give you some opening numbers on that one. I had a 58 with an 11, up to 59 and 11. And we had the Georgia team total over on Saturday and lost there. 3 field goals by Georgia. Thanks a lot there. Usually where they punch them in. Again, don't forget, still no Brock Bowers there as well. As the Spanky commercial comes in on my ears, I apologize. Offensively, great. They're going to need they're going to need 30 plus because they're going to give up 30 plus. But this is an offense that can score. Going to have to keep Dart upright. And you talked about if they were to shock the world and beat Georgia, then they would become the biggest Auburn fans in the world because we know that Alabama ends the season with the Iron Bowl against Auburn, which will probably be about 13-point favorites or something like that. So I like where your eyes are there, obviously. And usually the next couple of weeks we do get chaos. There are some stunners, so expect the unexpected.
Yeah, and it was kind of more so of can they beat Georgia, and I think, like you said, they got to put up 30, and I don't think it's out of the question that they could. Their path into getting into, they would have to get be a one-loss team that isn't in their own tournament and then need a lot of carnage elsewhere to get a lot of teams to 2 losses there or, some ugly 1 losses or something like that. So probably, I wish I wouldn't have even brought it up because now the likelihood that they can actually crash a party is they can make some chaos happen. Unlikely that they're crashing a party even if they do that. But anyways, we got a lot of else to talk about quickly here. Did a little recap in the NFL. We got one more game tonight here. Seen a line move down to 3 and a lot of spots from 3.5. Chargers and Jets. Any quick thoughts elsewhere on these other games from yesterday before we move into tonight?
Just go over the highlighted games. KC gets up 21-0. Miami cuts it to 21-14. Driving to hopefully tie it up, fall a touchdown short. Again, public wins there. The world on Kansas City, Sharps on Miami. That was 0-1. Philly, Dallas. Philly holds on. Public on Philly. Sharps on Dallas. Thanks for playing there. And then the late game. If anyone, we've talked about the Bills at length. The true number was the Bills minus 1.5. The actual line that closed was probably Cincinnati minus 1.5, 2.5, depends on where you shopped. If you just watch the two teams, the difference between Cincinnati and the Bills is the Cincinnati running game. It's Joe Mixon, it's Trevion Williams. They can establish a run and then pass. Buffalo has no identity. They don't know how to run the ball. They have a guy named James Cook back there that they can't even establish in the run, never mind a passing game. And then they bring in Lat Murray to pick up the blocks. The key to that game, very simply, was Buffalo got behind, Buffalo driving to take the lead, and Mr. Kincaid tries to do too much, go up and over, fumbles, the ball gets punched out. The public wins on Cincinnati, and the Sharps lose on the Bills. I've been talking about now, this for weeks. The Ravens are the best team in the NFL right now. You can't tell me Philly is. You can't tell me San Fran is. You can't tell me the Chiefs are. Right this second, Baltimore is the best team in football. Now, I didn't say Kansas City can't beat them. I didn't say Cincinnati can't beat them. I don't think the Bills would beat them. But this Ravens team is something to look out for. Out in the NFC, again, Philly has established themselves as the number 1 team out there. Dallas can play with them. They'll get another shot against them at home. We'll see San Fran off the bye with Chase Young, how the extra week of Debo coming back, how Brock Purdy does there. The last wild card spot, hats off to Joshua Dobbs. Jesus. In August, has the Cleveland Browns playbook. A week before the season starts, goes over to Arizona, has to learn their playbook, plays well over there till Kyler Murray's getting ready, then traded on Tuesday to Minnesota, and then a quarter in has to not only come in and play the game, he comes back and wins the game. If that's not they're going to come up with a Josh Dobbs award for, I don't know what you'd call it. This is just insanity. 3 playbooks in 1 year this kid's had to learn. I guess he's an engineer. He is as sharp as a tack. Hats off to him. But my point is, you got A-Chain supposed to come back this week. David Montgomery's supposed to come back this week. Justin Jefferson. Their bye week's on 13. It's getting close with Justin Jefferson. Does he come back in a contract year? Or, it's like the Vikings fighting for that last playoff spot. No Kirk Cousins. The NFC's a mess. I'll just leave it. The NFC's a mess.
Yeah, the NFC is a mess, and I to pat myself on the back. And had you told me that Kirk Cousins was going down in Week 8 and they were going to pass it along to Josh Dobbs, I might have walked back my thoughts a little bit. But at 1-4, with the way the Vikings schedule is laid out, and as we always talk about, the bottom of that AFC or NFC, nobody wanting to have that spot, I said, don't sleep on the Vikings for God's sake here. And for God's sake, Josh Dobbs didn't even know he probably didn't even know who he threw to, who the name of the man he threw to for the game-winning touchdown was, for God's sake, or any pass for that matter, other than Hawkinson in that game and Addison there. So credit to him, as you mentioned. This game, as far as, again, are either of these two teams Super Bowl contenders with the way they're with Josh Dobbs at quarterback and the way the Saints are? No, but if we're talking about playoff outlook and making the playoffs, Saints and Vikings this weekend is kind of a decent-sized game. Can both teams survive a loss and make the playoffs? Absolutely, but whoever wins that game is probably in really, really good shape to – I mean, Saints obviously have a chance to win their division. If someone else gets hot in the division and they win that game, then they're still in great spot for the 7th spot in the playoffs there. And I'm not disagreeing with you on the Ravens. That defense is absolutely nasty on top of – I mean, I'm drawing a blank on the Lions game looked absolutely fantastic, has looked – really solid the last 2 weeks, but not putting up gaudy numbers. So no one's really, giving them respect that you're giving them, but, extremely consistent and doing everything that he and this offense needs to do. And now you've got those, everyone's been clamoring for this entire time of not giving them receivers. They're not, top 5 in yards receivers, but they're legit dudes on their offense that can catch passes for him this year. So I'm with you as far as that. Again, I don't think there's any one juggernaut team that is unbeatable or any stretch of for any stretch of the word there. And Ravens are very good. Chiefs are very good. Bengals are obviously rounded into form there. But I think the one thing that I wanted to say is, a lot of people are calling the Dolphins frauds because they're 0-3 against these 3, very good teams or teams that we consider very good teams. I am still very much putting them in the same category, maybe not the exact same category, and putting them, I think they're rightfully less favored than some of these other teams that we're talking about. But you take away that, yes, they were down 21-zip, but you take away that another kind of, like I talked about earlier, a fluky kind of pick six, fumble six, whatever it was. They pitched it back to themselves and ran it back for 6. Take that away, and, we might not be talking about a game-tying drive at the end. We might be talking about a 17-14 type game one way or another down the stretch there. So I'm still putting the Dolphins as much in contention as anybody over there, and obviously it's a tight race and a couple bad weeks and an injury goes wrong and they're out of the playoff look. But at the same time, I'm still putting them in the same category or near the same category at the very least as anybody else there. So, and maybe not the same on the other side of things with Dallas, but another team that people are, not putting in the same category as those top teams in the NFC. I'm still very much putting the Cowboys as a contender in the NFC. Obviously a tough outlook to see them winning the NFC East at this point, but like you said, they get another shot at it. I think they're going to start rattling off some wins. And at the end of the day, I think they are able to compete with Philly and San Francisco at the end of the day there. People laugh at them for the last 2 playoff losses they had in the Niners. You flip a coin and simulate that 10 times, they're winning that game against the Niners each of the last 2 years a few times, in my opinion. So not writing off either of those two teams, AFC, NFC, but yeah, aside from obviously we're separating the teams that aren't Super Bowl contenders. Obviously, those are becoming clear, so we don't need to talk too much about them. But at the end of the day, this we're getting close to that point of really either writing teams on as clear Super Bowl contenders or writing them off as whether not Super Bowl contenders or not playoff contenders altogether. November is really that time where you really separate the meat and potatoes there.
And I'll close the NFL with this. As I talked in August about the most competitive division in football, it wasn't even up to debate in my eyes, the AFC North. And if the playoffs were to start today, all 4 teams would be in the playoffs. That's the Ravens, that's the Steelers, that's the Bengals, and who am I missing? 1, 2, 3.
Cleveland.
I'm missing one. Who's the 4th one? Cleveland, the Cleveland Browns. And here's what I want to say about the AFC, which differs in the NFC this year. There's no one who's a high seed that wants to be staring at the Bills, the Dolphins, and I'm even going to throw the Chargers in there. Because if the Chargers win tonight, they get to 500. Anything can happen. I know their coach is a buffoon, But the fact of the matter is when you're staring at Josh Allen, when you're staring at Tua with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, when you're staring at Justin Herbert, in a playoff game where every possession matters, these are quarterbacks that can get the job done at any time. The Steelers and Pickett are a year away. I just Pickett, the guy I don't know. I thought he was going to be. I still don't know there. But we know, Deshaun is back. Their defense is top three, if top three, top four in the NFL. Defenses travel, guys. That's why I had the Browns in my survivor this week. Defenses travel, and of course we know what we got around and in the form. So the AFC is definitely going to be a fun one for sure. Trying to read Travis Kelce and the Swifties is not going to be easy.
No, and the only thing, and I think it's going to be too little too late, but you get Aaron Rodgers potentially at some point for this Jets team who has a very good defense. If the Jets lose tonight, obviously it's tough sledding coming back from, it'll only be 4-4, but the way the AFC is stacked up, we don't need to go too much into it. And I agree with the other Chargers. I think a lot of this coaching staff needs to be wiped clean, but at the end of the day, on any given day, Justin Herbert and this offense are good enough to hang with anybody. So I'm with you as far as that. As far as if you let them in, they at least have a chance to make some damage again. Hopefully, you know what? Hopefully they crash and burn, because I've held a lot of Chargers stake the last few years, and I'm dying for this coaching staff to get out of the building. But you know what? They might go on a run and grab one of these last playoff spots and extend their coaching staff a little bit longer. And we're still going to be talking about it the same way the next 2 years here.
Russell Salas says, in honor of Colts Patriots game this week, I rewatched the 2006 AFC Championship. Man, I missed those days, and my brain is foggy. So that was 17 years ago. I would have to assume there was a Peyton Manning. I was going to say Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison. That was. Let me see who's in the backfield. I got Joseph Adai on the brain, which I know is wrong there. But I missed
James,
those.
I imagine.
Edgar and James. That was after Marshall Faulk, I would assume, as well. So, Russell, listen, you got some good things coming. You got the Joshua Downs kid. Pittman is fine. You got Jonathan Taylor. You have obviously your quarterback with Richardson, and I tell you, the youth of the quarterback. And let's just close the NFL with this. CJ Stroud, take a damn bow. Holy shit. You're just ripping up the NFL. Listen, I've been a big Nico Collins fan since diapers. I'm a huge Tank Dell fan. I have him everywhere. It was supposed to be a Damian Pierce show. He is just an afterthought. Hats off to the coaching staff. CJ Stroud, take a bow.
I can't add too much more than that. I mean, that young team is so fun to watch, and they've got. I'm drawing a blank on who they've got this weekend. I think another fun one that you might even consider just a good game now. And picked apart that defense there. So as far as tonight's game is concerned, we could obviously talk about the NFL yesterday for an hour itself here. But down to 3 in a lot of spots. Chargers now -3 in a lot of spots here. 40.5, 41 on the game total there. You have a Chargers team who is coming off of a win last Sunday night against the Bears at home. I took care of business against the struggling Bears team, obviously. A couple of weeks before that, lost at the Chiefs. Not enough offense, obviously. Couldn't really do anything to stop that Chiefs offense. Week before that, really close, tight game with the Cowboys, 20-17. And now you've got this Jets team coming off a 3-game winning streak. Last week, obviously, a lot of people would say they shouldn't have won, 13-10 over the Giants. And then the 2 weeks before that, before the bye week, the very nice win over the Eagles there, giving this Jets team a lot of respect. Very, very good defense. I still have a ton of respect for this defense. Interested to see what we have here. I think the game total being at 41 here is interesting. You've got on paper a good Chargers offense against a very good Jets defense, and a bad Chargers passing attack up against a bad Jets passing attack up against a bad Chargers defense passing attack. So something's got to give here, and I think a lot of people are leaning towards the Jets defense kind of controlling this one, and the Jets offense lack of ability kind of controlling this one and going under. And I believe it was you and Mr. Lucky kind of talking a little bit of how many primetime unders we've had, which is very typical, obviously. But I don't know. I'm not too interested in this one tonight, but I do think you could see, and I'm as out as anybody on Zach Wilson for the most part. But wouldn't surprise me if you get some passing yards and some air attack and moving the ball up and down the field a little bit for this Jets offense. And not to say that the Chargers also can't, but I guess I'm saying I think there's going to be a few more points than people might be expecting tonight.
My true number was 2.5 of the 42.5. I will tell you this: the whole wide world loves the Jets. I don't know if it's more because Staley, if it's more of the Jets beat the Bills opening day on prime time. They beat the undefeated Eagles a couple of weeks ago. The fact that Aaron Rodgers is throwing a ball, the fact that the New York Jets were the one team that was on the phone with the Raiders trying to bring Devontae Adams, they believe. I believe in Herbert. I believe that this team is still a playoff team. Yes, their defense sucks. Yes, their coaches sucks even more. I think they find a way to win this game with the actual 42.5 with the 2.5. I'm going 23-17, 23-20. If it's 20-20 and Dicker the kicker with a walk-off, something to that effect, 23-17, Zach Wilson interception. I think Herbert will get it done. Eckler will get it done. I'll go on record for two sneaky props. I'll go Quentin Johnson. There's no Big Mike and now Josh Palmer on the IR, so I'll go Quentin Johnson, and I'd go even a step further to the 6'9" tight end and Donald Parham.
I like a lot of what you said there, especially the touchdown scores there, Donald Parham. And to clarify what I was saying, my thoughts on the Jets being able to move the ball up and down the field was not me trying to say I am interested in the Jets tonight, because I very much also am a believer in Justin Herbert. To answer your question, it was more so me, the over is what I would, be interested more than either the spreads, I guess, is what I was kind of trying to say there. Because I like the way you prefaced it, because I think everyone that seems to be out on Staley, and I am fair on that, and I think that is what everyone's opinion is being driven on the Chargers. I am still I shouldn't say I'm very high on the Chargers. In contrast of what I think of Staley and how low I think of it, I think you and I are very much on the same page there. And I think, like you were saying, alluding to the Jets, people want to believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back mid-December and the Jets are going to be in position to make a run for this thing. People want to believe that. Is it possible? It's possible. I personally think, as much as he wants to be back, I don't think they're going to rush him back. I would be surprised if he's, especially in an offensive line that at times is pretty flawed here. I think it would be a nightmare to rush him back into a situation where he's not 100% all the way healthy there. So I'm with you. I do think it is going to be a closely contested game here. And that Eagles win is really throwing a lot of people off, because and the Giants win. I mean, I don't think anyone's saying, "Oh, look at what they did to the Giants." But if it was a loss on that column instead of the win, I think a lot of people would have less belief in this Jets team tonight. So I'll go a little bit higher than you. I'll give the Chargers the win. I'm going to go 27-21, and we go a little bit over the total here, and the Chargers win, or 27-24, and it's close to the spread. Like I said, more interested in the total than either of the spreads on this one.
I like where you are. I do think this does go over. Want to give a shout out to Andrew McGinnis, who will be on our channel tomorrow at 3:00. He has just popped in. Anyone here that doesn't follow Andrew, go over to X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, on Monday, and go to Andrew McGinnis at McGinnis Picks, or go find his work on Wager Talk, the best in the business. Good friend and colleague. And thank you for popping in. Got a few hockey games to talk about in a second. So go, Andrew, go.
Yes, that is the man right there. I did not give my touchdown picks I'll go for my longer shot one. If Allen Lazard does not go, if he does go, then this guy might not see the field at all. So I'll eat my word on this one. I think Garrett Wilson could have a really nice night tonight. Would like to. He's at 90 and 100 yards each of the last 2 weeks, and now he's sitting at 65 or over under. Not giving me a ton of confidence there, but I do think he should have a nice night. But if Allen Lazard can't go, Xavier Gibson is a guy on the depth chart that might be thrust into a bigger role, and he's got some big odds. So that's just one where if Allen Lazard does not go, don't be shocked if a guy that you've never heard of is standing in the end zone for this Jets team. Problem is that they just don't throw it to anyone other than Garrett Wilson, their tight ends, and their running backs. So that is obviously an issue there. But I'll go long shot Xavier Gibson. I'll go for the Chargers there. Justin Herbert at 425 seems a little short to me. I'll go. I know I've said this before, but I'll go a QB sneak for the touchdown. Justin Herbert 425.
I like where your eyes are. I will go chalk on this. Just as Andrew puts the spaghetti strainer is out, I will go chalk here. I think Breece Hall finds the end zone for the Jets. That is chalk soup there. And I'll go with my tight end special. I could use him in some high stakes fantasy as well. I'm going to go Tyler Conklin on the other side as well for the Jets.
Yep. And I'm still waiting to see Allen Lazard. But I mean, it is asinine. You've got Garrett Wilson plus 155. I mean, if we're talking about the Jets scoring some points, there's some touchdown props to be had here, all at plus money here. I like the Breece Hall. I think a lot of people are expecting him to have a nice night. But obviously, the Chargers' rush defense has actually been better than people have given him credit for there. So now I don't have too much else. Maybe I'll go. One of these defenses could have a nice score or something like that. But I'd like to go Randall Cobb or Allen Lazard, but I don't think we're going to get that one today. But I'll stick with the some points out of this one and take probably not too much else out of this one here and grab my popcorn.
I agree. I'm going to quickly go through the hockey. There's 4 games. There's the one that don't make any sense. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't make any sense. My Bruins, coming off their first official loss over the weekend, are kind of decent dogs. They traveled to the Stars tonight. My true number was 130, Dallas minus the Bruins plus 110 with a 5.5, up to 138. Vegas is telling me it's a Stars night. There's only one way I can get into this game. Giving me some great price here. Take the Dallas Stars team total over 3.5. You can get it as high as plus 145. So it's a 5.5 for a reason. Maybe it's 3-2 Stars. Empty net, 4-2. Thanks for playing. I like the Stars tonight. I'm not playing regulation. I'm not playing minus a goal and a half. Stars team total over 3.5, plus 155, probably 150 at your books. Florida, Columbus, there's really no way to get into that one. Tampa and Toronto, I'll take the shot with Toronto gets to 4. Team total over 3.5, minus 115. And then Edmonton, Vancouver, it's a 7. Edmonton is awful right now. Vancouver playing great. At home, I'll take the short price with Vancouver team total over 3.5. Even money. That's your hockey report. You can take, if you like Edmonton tonight, you can take their team total over 3.5 as well at even money. So whatever side you like, first 1-4 wins this game. Take their team total at even money instead of laying the minus 107 at Circa on Edmonton or minus 103 with Vancouver. So that's the hockey report.
I love it, my friend. Switching over to basketball, NBA, there is a few that I was looking to talk through a little bit here. First one, not because it's in my neck of the woods necessarily. Bulls minus 4.5. First, most respect, 4.5 most respect they've kind of gotten here this season. I think they were a 4-point favorite one time before this up against Brooklyn. Maybe would like to see it a little bit higher with how bad Utah has been, but obviously this Bulls team is also not playing well at all. Not finishing games, not playing full 4 quarters here. So this one could kind of go either which way, but it was at least it would have been concerning to see them 2.5, 3-point favorites at home against this Utah team. So, still pumping the brakes on this Bulls team. They're going to be all over the place, but a Utah team that still isn't getting their feet underneath them, really. What was the other one I was looking at here? Clippers and Knicks probably just avoid it altogether. It was interesting to see the Knicks as a favorite up against this Clippers team with everyone. It seems to be in the game, but you've got what appears to be the debut of James Harden tonight in the starting lineup, so this one could be all over the place. So probably just want to steer clear of that one altogether unless you're the biggest James Harden fan of the world, which I'd like to have a conversation and pick your brain if you are a James Harden fan to that level. But nonetheless, there was going back, you mentioned the Boston hockey game, Boston basketball game, 5-0 Celtics, only 2.5-point favorites at Minnesota here, with Boston having taken care of just about everybody so far in these 5 games. I mean, their opening night game was the closest one they've had. Been covering some massive spreads, double-digit spreads, and now you got 2.5. I think Derek White might be out. Chris Stopps is questionable, but I see him projected in the lineup. This Minnesota team's playing some really 4 of their 5 games have played some fantastic defense. Any thoughts that that's a sticky one for your Celtics to get their first loss potentially tonight?
Yeah, Derek White out, and Porzingis, I don't want to say has pink eye, but he's got something eye. He's got an eye issue. He's trying to make it. The line, my true number was 4 with a 227.5, down to 221.5 with a 2.5. I hate to rush to the window in the NBA when it comes to injuries. If they're both out, I think that line might even drop a little more. They're leaving it at 2.5, maybe for, excuse me, Porzingis to get in there. I do like the dog here. I like Minnesota, but I'm staying away. I would stay away from that one. A couple things that caught my eye. Atlanta was a 3 with a 236.5. That total's now up to 241.5 and a pick 'em. I like OKC here. And this game will be, first one to 125 probably wins this game. But I think OKC gets it done here against the Hawks. There was another one. See, now here's that Golden State. We went against Golden State last night with Cleveland. Here now that they're 7.5 over Detroit, I think Golden State probably bounces back. We know last year about their road woes. Well, there's 7.5-point favorites for a reason tonight. I think they get a double-digit win in Detroit. And here's another one. San Antonio and Indiana, 8 with a 237.5. It is now 238. First one to 120 wins this game. I'll say that goes over 238.
Yeah, and I had one more to add, and it's probably one that I'm not interested in. But obviously a big public favorite. I'm not saying they're a public favorite tonight necessarily, but a big team that is typically a public favorite to put money on. Kings at the Rockets just played each other the other day as a pretty similar line. Kings minus 2.5 at Houston 2 days ago, 89-107 loss. Put them at 2.5 again. I'm maybe that's a situation where, they're trying to trick someone who's trying to go back and forth on this one. But still a little concerning. I mean, this Kings team, I think at the end of the day will be fine, but have had some flaws out of the gates here. And this Rockets team is starting to put things together a little bit. Not playing this one because I don't like to play the second game when teams play back-to-back necessarily, unless I feel really strongly about a certain way, but seemed a little head-scratching that this Kings team, if we were talking about a statement bounce back after they just lost to this Rockets team, I would have liked to see them 4.5-point favorites or something like that. So 2.5 was still a little sketchy to me for the Kings here.
Yeah, my true number was Rockets. 2.5 for the 218.5, down to 217. Sacramento now a point favorite with the flip there. So again, I'm following your lead there. I would lean actual Rockets. I would trust the opening number, the respected overnight number. I'm not buying the flip here. I would lean Rockets plus the 2.5, a little beer and pizza money on the outright win.
Yep, and then really only the last one there, Heat and Lakers. I believe everyone is playing, but a belief in both of those teams to have everybody going with 2 hours still left of game time is probably not worth too much there. So maybe we've got a fully healthy game in here. Maybe we don't. I don't know. But Lakers have been kind of going back and forth. Heat had an ugly 4-game losing streak. Just got off of it a few days ago into Wizards. Had a second to sit back and reassess. I could see them falling back down and still kind of not being in total rhythm here. So I don't know which way I'm leaning. It's the NBA TV game, so probably staying away from it. Might lean Lakers on that one.
Yeah, 223 with a 2. Miami was favored. Now it's 222.5 with a 1. This is your classic, let's just say 112, 111, a 112, 110 game. I actually trust the Lakers more than I respect a 2 or a 1 with Miami at home. Just win, baby. I don't have any feel for this game. The TNT games are always spot on. When they're on TNT and you want to scratch an itch, I think it's easier just to take a look at the team total. If you like the Lakers today, my assumption is maybe you have it right there. The Lakers team total probably, 110.5, 111, somewhere around there.
111.5. Yep.
And then what do they have? Miami 112, 112.5.
A lot of 111s and a half. A lot of 111.5s. Also on that one, couple 112s, but a lot of spots I got both of them 111.5.
Miami Heat team total under 111.5. How's that?
Yeah, I like it. I think they still have some problems to figure out. I don't think they're a fraudulent team last year, but I think we could have a very similar situation to they get to the finals in the bubble in 2020, 21, whatever it was. Not very good the following year. I think they have a lot of talent on this team, but I think it's very realistic to see them kind of struggling out of the gates and kind of scrambling towards the middle to end of the season to put some things together there for Miami. So I'm with you on that one. But there's a few other ones, but I didn't have strong feels on it. Orlando's playing well. Dallas and Orlando's a good game. I see certain spots have both of them listed as, one as a favorite, one as a dog there. I think everyone is projected to be in the lineup for those two teams tonight. I think I'd lean maybe towards Dallas taking care of business here, but I really like this Orlando team, and they're really fun to watch at home. So I'm kind of throwing my hands up on that one. I think that one's still kind of a coin flip fair line on that one.
I agree. I do agree there.
All righty. Anything switching gears, my friend? It is, not too many matchups that are getting you really juiced up necessarily. There's a lot of 20, 30-point spreads on the board, but we have been, you and I are very big college basketball analysts, whatever you want to call it. Love the sport, love the action, and there is a boatload of games. There's already been a handful of games that have already been off and rolling. I think there is one or two that are maybe worth watching. I think there's even a TNT game or two tonight. Georgia, Oregon right now at half. Oregon up to 40-30 on True TV at halftime there. And then I'm off the top of my head, I'm drawing a blank on the matchup. I think it was a 9 o'clock my time, 10 o'clock your time on TNT. Kansas State, USC. That's it. That is probably the game of the night there. But aside whether it's that one or anything else, we've got probably 100 games or so. Anything worth mentioning here today about any of these college basketball games?
I know a lot of people out there are, Oregon just went to -1 second half with a 75.5, by the way. Sharps are on Oregon today. I know a lot of people seem to be on USC tonight. K-State's got a couple guys that are out. My UConn Huskies open up against Northern Arizona. The true numbers are 24 with a 138.5. At Circa right now, it's 25.5 with a 141.5. I saw some people out there on the UConn team total over, which my head is fried right now, 26. I assume it's probably in the low 80s, their team total today. Let me explain to all the newcomers. We got hotter than a firecracker last year in overs in college basketball. let me just tell everyone what I do here. I take our spreadsheet, which we use Spank Odds, and I take their overnight numbers. I then take the projected game scores from Ken Pomeroy. I then get Kenny White's numbers. And then I use two other sources. So it's 18 hours of crunching numbers around the clock to come up with discrepancies anywhere from 6 to 10 points in what the open-end number is versus the projected numbers versus our numbers. I have a sheet right here with 11 games on it that hit the system. As you said, there's 100 and something games, so that's only 10% of the card. I'm verbally going to just say a couple games that hit the system. Spaghetti, pizza, beer, money. This is not go play 1, 2, 3, 5 units, but when I explain the situation, you'll get a better feel for what we're talking about. So this Georgia-Oregon game, for instance, we had one of our sources had a 148.5. Ken Palm had 140. The opening number was 140.5. Circa had it at 141. It's at 70 right now with a 77 second half. So 70 plus 77 at Circa is 147. So we would have had the over in this game. Samford and Purdue. Okay, we have a number of 153. Ken Palm has it at 144. It opened at 143, currently 143.5. So we have a 10-point or 9.5 point differential there. So we would add over 143.5, Samford and Purdue. Detroit and Toledo, we have a 163.5. Ken Palm has 153. Circa has 154.5. There's a 9.5 point difference there. We would have over Detroit and Toledo. Virginia and Tarleton, we have a 108. Okay. Ken Palm's got a 129, opened at 126. Circa's got 124. We would have under 124 Virginia and Tarleton. NC State and Citadel, we have a 156. Ken Palm's got 143. Circa's got 145. That's an 11-point discrepancy. We would have over 145 NC State and Citadel. And then I'll give you guys one more. I'm not going to bore you to death here. Here is a 19-point difference. San Diego State and Cal State Fullerton. We have a 114. Ken Palm's got a 132. Circa's got a 133. We'll go under 133, Cal State and Fullerton. But that's what we do here.
I mean, I think every sport, when you have different strategies, it's worth mentioning what the situation is. And college basketball, when there's this many games, a lot of times throughout the entire year, but especially when it's early season, there's ways to find some ways into some of these games that are on paper seem a little bit goofy, but as you just mentioned there, I mean. A lot of them. I think he went mostly over, but that Virginia game was an interesting one as well there. So, we don't need to break down all those games that you mentioned, and there's obviously too many to break down here tonight. But it's a situation where you can make your way and get your way into these games, but you should not be blindly forcing your way into 10, 11 games, because then you're going to be in a very ugly spot, which is what a lot of people do when you have a smorgasbord of college basketball, which I love it as much as the next man, but, you can't just be fired from the hip because you think, Purdue, based on what they were last year, is going to be the exact same team. They could be the exact same team. That might be a bad example, but you get what I'm trying to say here. So that's a sermon on not firing away on especially college basketball that you have no idea what's going on. If you don't do any type of research whatsoever, you got to at least get some sound advice when you're going into a 100-game slate that hasn't had any games happen in the sport yet.
We have a lot of people that are watching and listening to this game, this show here. Thank you guys. I can't say this any louder. If I had a megaphone right now, I would be preaching to you guys. It's Monday. It's a new week, and you look at the board, and anyone that lost last week or anyone that won big last week, you're waking up and your sheets are all clean, and it's a kid in a candy store. And then you go on to social media and you see this guy named John Smith, who over the weekend went 11-1, and he's picking at 90%, and he's got the game of the year, the 13-star mega play, flex play, yada, yada, yada. It's all bullshit. It's bullshit, okay? January 1st, 2015, we will be starting our 9th year of public service, okay? This face hasn't gone anywhere. Riley hasn't gone anywhere. We got people that actually know what the hell they're talking about, okay? So you guys got to go to respected sources. And when I'm telling you there's too many games on the board, when I'm telling you there's over 100 games and I got 11 on the system, when Andrew McGinnis from Wager Talk steps in and he talks about the spaghetti strainer, there's nothing worse than waking up today, seeing this board, betting 12, 15 games, waking up hungover tomorrow morning and like, holy shit, I lost $1,000. And now you're chasing for the next 6 days just trying to get even. You woke up this morning, your sheet was clean, you're even. You're a winner. You're already a winner, okay? So if you like the football game tonight, go play the football game. If you like a couple hockey games, go play the hockey. You don't need to be playing 25 games tonight in college baskets, okay? I would love to give out these 11. I would love to play all these 11. I just know you can't. So if I play 4 games today and I leave 7 on the desk, what's probably going to happen is our 4 games, we're going to go 2-2. Maybe we go 3-1. Maybe we go 1-3. And the 7 games on the desk are probably going to go 7-0, 6-1, 5-2. That's just the nature of the beast. That's why they call it the spaghetti strainer. It's the first day. Enjoy it. It's a holiday for me today. All right, have some fun with it. After I get off the show, the ECSI VIPs, I'm going to send an alert out. If you're not a part of the ECSI VIPs and you want to be, send me a DM at EC Sports Invest on Twitter, or go to our website. For $3 a day, you can get this sent to your cell phone and text. If you're financially struggling right now and you need some help, well, send me a DM. I'll figure something out for you. Okay? Then I'm going to Canton. I'm going to the compound, to the legend, Anthony Pepe. I'm on Sports Map Radio tonight from 8 to 10. We got some amazing guests. We got Paul Stone. We got Brady Tinker. We got Bill Crackman. We got Leanne Herring from the Rebel Walk. Pep's got someone else coming on. This is what we do. And I'm smiling ear to ear because we're just in the start of November, and I couldn't be more excited. And hopefully UConn does well this year. Are they going to repeat? Probably not. Hopefully they get to the big dance. Hopefully they win a few games. Maybe they get to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8. Maybe they get to the Final Four. I don't know.
Hey, you know what? I'm just looking for no, I love everything you said there. But as far as future college basketball situation, I'm the Big Ten drought is coming to an end is what I'm hoping for over here. I don't know who the heck it's going to be. There's only 3 teams coming in as AP top 25. But we need this almost 25-year, I guess it's closer to 20, 22-year Big Ten basketball drought in the Big Dance to end here this year. So not holding my breath for it too much. There's maybe one team that I would feel good about saying that for, but might be a year too soon. But nonetheless, that's what I'm rooting for as far as the end of the season here. But no, good stuff as always, my friend. There's, like I said, there's 1 2.5 point spread that's at on a nationally televised game as far as spreads are concerned here. So there's a lot of nonsense, and you don't need to be sweating a Kansas either covering or not covering a 30-point spread or whatever the heck it is you're going to do.
Lastly, I've already seen this on social media. I've seen certain people bash Ken Pomeroy. He knows nothing. He sucks. Okay, whatever your sources and sites you use, God bless you. You're the boss. But I just want to tell everyone this. We talk about Cinderella. We talk about dream seasons. We talk about magical runs. FAU had a magical run last year. Okay. They were gifted. They were blessed. They shocked the world. They got to the Final Four. Now I see people standing on top of mountains saying they're returning all 5 starters. How can you disrespect this team? This team is better than 95% of the country. That was last year. And I know they're returning all 5 starters. Shit happens. Okay. I'm not here to disrespect FAU. I'm not here to say they're not a good team. I'm just telling you this. If I have 2 bridges about 20 minutes away from me, they're called the Sagamore Bridge and the Bourne Bridge. They're up for sale if anyone would like to buy them. Okay. Just don't buy last year's hype. That's my point. Okay. If you want it for shits and giggles, go buy a future on them to make the Final Four or to win the national championship because they have all 5 returning starters, because they're the best team in the conference, because they beat A, B, C, and D last year to get to the Final Four, then God bless you. But to stand here today and tell me because they got the same 5 coming back, therefore they're going to the Final Four, shame on you. That is my sermon. I apologize for the rant. Closing thoughts, Riley. I had to get that off my chest.
No, it's fair. I mean, point to a situation. 2008 Davidson. What happened the next year? Steph Curry came back. They didn't make the damn tournament. I'm with you 100% of the way here. They could be a very good team. Are they going to be cutting the damn nets down next or making the Final Four this upcoming year? I doubt it. I'm with you. They could have a very good year, but like you said, shit happens. So I don't have any more rant. I will be here all week, all 5 days, it sounds like, on the Closing Bell Monday through Thursday, so stay tuned. And then it appears you and I will have our first crossover show, it sounds like. I mean, maybe we won't have too much college Big Ten basketball to talk about on Friday morning, but obviously got a couple big games in Big Ten to talk about, football, and maybe do a little bit more of, digging into some of these teams and what to expect out of those teams from a basketball sense on Friday morning. So stay tuned. We got some good stuff coming all week long.
Yes, tomorrow, 10:30, Travis Geiger, the CXO of WagerWire, will be on at the Breakfast Bankroll. 3 o'clock, Andrew McGinnis will be back on our channel. We'll talk some hockey, some CFL playoffs. At 1 o'clock, I will be co-hosting with Pop DiBiase on the NFL Bet Exchange, week number 10. And, of course, myself and Riley will be back at 4:30 for the Closing Bell. And the rest of the week, Monday through Thursday here, 4:30 for the Closing Bell. Friday morning, 10:30 for the Breakfast Bankroll. Big Ten preview, college football and basketball. So an amazing show. I love our Mondays. I love the recaps. Thanks to everyone. Andrew McGinnis. Thanks to Russell Saylor. Thanks to Billy Hewlin and everyone else watching and listening. Would be no ECSI without you guys. Would just, as Karen Carpenter once said, we've only just begun. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed evening. Behave. Stay in your lanes. And